Hello friends. So my name is Shantanu Pradeshi and today we are talking about how to create CYPY sales for months using the data blending. So first question comes to our mind that why why to use data blending when we can directly create some calculations. So the problem here I'm facing is that I have to create the CYPY sales for the months, selected months, and they should be on the same axis in a line chart. So the data should be showing it side by side, not on the appended or in the lookup. So I don't want to use the lookup and other methods because they are not quite friendly when you need to adapt other calculations based on to handle the CY and PY data. They are only limited for the selected sheets and the selected scenarios, but you cannot use them for other purposes throughout your workbook. So that's why we have to use the data blending. So the method we are using here is it is similar to the lag function in the SQL. So in the SQL we have a lag function where you can lag the data for the 12 months or for the required period using the specific criterions. But instead of that functionality we don't have in the Tableau, so we have to use the data blending. Another option to use the data blending is we can use self join also, but that is again it's the same thing. If you use data blend or self join, you have to use the data source twice, so it is the same thing. It will not, some calculations will be different, but overall it is the same concept. Another thing is we will make our dashboard or make our chart dynamic to 3, 6 and 12 months. Of course you can add n number of months there in the using the parameters, so we will see that. And we will make it relative to the selected months. Suppose I don't want to show the data always related to current month like October 23, but I don't want to show the data related to July 23. So I should be able to select there as July 23 as my recent month, and then I'll see the last 12 months or last 6 months related to that month. So let's see now how it goes. So first we will connect to the samples of our data source and the orders table, and then we will create a continuous months feed using our order date as a CY months. So there might be some easy ways to create this formula, but this is my way to create it. You can try another way. And same, we will create a field for previous year months by subtracting 1 year from the CY months. So this will give us previous year month value for the previous year month for this current year months. And we will make it this also a continuous field. It is not necessary that you use continuous field always, but when we will create the line chart, so that time we have to use the continuous field. So I'll create that. For that I'm creating it in advance. Now we will create those again, as we have to create the PY, we have to get the PY values, previous year values. So we will connect to the same data source again, and we will create the same CY months field for the our secondary data source. So I'm just copying the feed from the first data source already created and changing the names as DB1 and DB2 for the simplification. So here you have to put some distinct field names so you can remember them easily. If you check this will be same as your order date months in the secondary data source. So that you must be careful while creating that it should not take the reference from first data source, and it should be totally from the second data source, just to double check. And now we will edit the relationships to get to blend our both data sources. So here we have to remove the existing all the existing data relationships to override the new ones. So I just remove them. Same for the remaining data relationships. Now we create the new relationships. So for the CY from the secondary source should be matched with PY of the our primary source. So then it will give us the CY and PY matching. Click OK, click OK. And now we will check if it is working or not. So first we will take fields from the primary data source, as we will get months of order date. We will make them discrete for a better reading. We will get sum of sales from the first source. Then we will get sum of sales from the second source. And we have to click the relationship button there. So it will join, it will create the blend between both the sources. And now you can check, as we are getting the PY values for CY months in the primary data source. We can always verify that from matching the values of January 21 with the January 2020. So for the January 2020, it will be blank because there is no data for the January 2019 in our data source. So that's why first 12 values are the blank, and then the PY values are offsetted by 12. So now we can create a line chart based on this for our last 12 months, and we will see that in the next slides. So first we will create a parameter, sorry, a calculated field for the last 12 months. You can name it anything, but I just put V for every calculated field as a variable in the beginning. So it will be easy to locate me all the fields in one go. We can always filter them from the search button, but that's my easy way. Yes. So now logic is we have to create the date difference on month level between two dates for 12 months. So formula is very simple. We just have to use that date div there and create a formula and then make it discrete and dimension, because we don't need to add up the numbers, but we need the absolute number there, like 1 2 3 4 up to 12. And now we will put the true false condition there, like we don't want the numbers greater than 12, so we will put that. And we don't want the numbers which are lesser than 0. Lesser than 0 means the upcoming months, like if we are today we're in October, so upcoming months like November and December will showing there as -1 and 2. We don't need them. Then we can check the formula if it is giving us correct value or not, and we have to use that field as a filter. It will be true always. So now you can see that we are getting the data for CYPY sales side by side for the last 12 months. Now we will see how we can make it more dynamic using the parameters. So now we will create a parameter for the anchor months, and then we can select the month dynamically. Suppose you want to select some other months than the current date, so you can select that. So let's see how we can create that. So first create a parameter as a data type, then create a list and get the values from the CY months of our primary data source. So now you can see that all the values are pulled there. Now we will set the format as MMM-YY. So it will give us Jan 21 and Feb 21 like that values. Now you can see we are getting a nice month and year values there. So now we can use this field as a anchor month to our last 12-month calculation. Now again go back to the calculation, edit that, and here instead of today, we will replace it with the anchor month parameter. I'm just trying to drag and drop, but I think it's not working with the parameters. So okay, so I'll just type it maybe. Now the table is blank because first month is selected and there is no -12 for that. But if we change the months, so now we can see we will always get the last 12 months relative to the selected month. So we don't need actually that true and false field there in the actual visualization. So now, if how do we know that our data is correct? So we will just create a sample table here in the separate sheet to validate each and every number. So for that, put the year into the rows and discrete months into the columns. So that way we can always follow along the our calculations, like if we are getting correct values for CYPY months or no. It will be easy for the quick check. Now we will make it more dynamic, and instead of last 12 months fixed, we will create a parameter for last 3 months and last 6 months. So we can select between 3 or 6 and 12 months. So for that, create a parameter. I named it last n months, and data type will be integer. And again, we will it create it as a list. So for 3, 6, and 12 months we need. So that should be our values. And in the display, you can write anything there like last 3 months and last 6 months. So that it will be more readable. Now we will replace our 12 static number in with this parameter. So it will always give us the number like 3, 6, and 12 based on our selection. So we can see if we select last 6 months, so we will get values for last 6 months, 6 months only, and it will be relative to our anchor month. Now the point is creating this whole thing with the blend is that we have to show the CYPY number side by side, which is not quite possible with other methods. Like if we want to show it in a KPI, like difference between CY and PY, so that you can create that directly, creating the calculated feeds. But if you want to show it side by side on a line chart, so that some people suggest that using the static months like January, February, and splitting it by year in the color shade. So that is also one way, but then it has its own problem if you have some missing months in your data set. So this method is very useful when you create a line chart with no missing months, and only the months, selected months, should be visible. So now, so now we will create a simple line chart here, and we will do some modification to look it beautiful. Like we have set the month format as Jan 21, which is our standard format in the parameters. And then for the title of axis, so this is a new feature in 23.1, that where you can put the titles of an axis based on the parameters. So like I have put the title as last 12 months, which is based on the parameter. If I change the parameter to last 6 months, then it will show the last 6 months and it will be dynamic. Now we will put the same thing in our title as well. Yeah, so let's try that. Oh, sorry, this field, this is not, this is the value of the parameter, but we need the name of the parameter. So we will select on the second option. So this will be our last 12-month chart with dynamic selection between anchor month and the date period. Now you can make it more attractive and more formatting wise better as per your business needs in your dashboards. So whole point was creating this with the blend is to show side by side 12 months, 12 means CYP or months, and make it a dynamic one. So now we can create a sample dashboard to publish it. So this method is actually takes a toll on your performance. So when you are using a very large data set or very complex data set, so that time this method is not advisable to use. But if your business requirement insists on this one, so that at that time only you should be using this. Another problem with this method is your slicing problem. If you don't join or if you don't blend data on all the dimension field between two data sources, so then it will create the wrong results when you put dimension filters, suppose region filters or category filters in each other. So now, since we have joined on all the dimensions, we will not get that problem. But in the actual scenario, if data is very large, that time this method is useful, but very you have to be very cautious that you should create the blend relationship based on every dimension filter which you are using to in your dashboards. So that time it will make it your good result. Another thing is you can use this method with the extract also for the better performance. Yes, that's all for now. And if you like the content, please share and subscribe and like the video. Thank you.